Proposition 22 is on the ballot in November. Its purpose is to exempt ride sharing and food delivery firms from Assembly Bill 5, AB 5, a California gig worker bill that forces Uber and Lyft to classify their drivers as employees. Vote yes on Proposition 22 and give Uber and Lyft drivers the freedom to be independent contractors. Although Assembly Bill 5 does have its benefits, don't be fooled. Proposition 22 is much better for you. Today I will be speaking to you about the problem, which is Assembly Bill 5, the causes, and most importantly, the solution, which is Proposition 22. First, let's talk about the problem. According to the Los Angeles Times online article, California Assembly Bill 5, known as the Gig Worker Bill, is a piece of legislation signed into law by Governor Gavin Newsom in September of 2019. The law didn't go into effect until January 1st of 2020. It requires companies like Uber and Lyft that hire independent contractors to reclassify their drivers as employees. This would entitle them to minimum wage, workers' comp, unemployment, paid sick and family leave, and health insurance, among other employee benefits. This might sound good and all, but Assembly Bill 5 is a problem for rideshare companies, gig workers, and consumers. So don't be fooled. According to the Business Insider online article, rideshare companies like Uber and Lyft are going all out against Assembly Bill 5. They have poured more than $200 million into Proposition 22 to keep California drivers as independent contractors. This is the most expensive ballot measure in California state's history. Wow. If Proposition 22 passes, Uber and Lyft and other rideshare companies will be able to continue saving costs by paying drivers as independent contractors. This might seem like the rideshare companies are taking advantage of their drivers, but they're not. It's in everybody's best interest that Proposition 22 pass. So don't be fooled. According to the Rideshare Guys online article, if Proposition 22 does not pass and AB 5 stays in place, only 20% of drivers would want to work, and the remaining 80% wouldn't want to work under the AB 5 law. This is because the majority of Uber and Lyft drivers are part-time workers only. Under the AB 5 law, Uber and Lyft are going to be looking for drivers who are willing to work 40 hours a week, people who are willing to do the job on a more consistent basis. So the people who are currently working part-time are going to be impacted the most if Proposition 22 does not pass. And that's a whole lot of people who are going to be out of a job. The people who decide to stay working for Uber and Lyft are going to have to work full-time on some type of schedule. For a lot of people, working as a gig worker is a side hustle, a way for them to win extra money on the side. Being able to choose their own hours is a luxury. If they were to implement some type of schedule, that would defeat that whole purpose. So if you're an Uber and Lyft driver, you could say bye to your freedom and flexibility. Under the AB 5 law, Uber and Lyft will have control over when you work because you are an employee, not an independent contractor. Not to mention the Uber and Lyft rates would go through the roof. So basically, Uber and Lyft would turn into some type of taxi company under Assembly Bill 5. In conclusion, I remember when Uber and Lyft did not exist. Taking a taxi was not even an option because of how expensive it was to take one. The only time I would take one was if it was completely necessary to do so. So as a consumer myself, I'm definitely voting yes on Proposition 22 and keeping those rates for consumers low and affordable. According to Cal Matters online article, Although AB5 has its benefits, Proposition 22 also has new benefits that come along with it. If Proposition 22 passes, Uber and Lyft and other rideshare companies would be required to pay 130% of minimum wage per each hour of driving time, and kicking small benefits towards drivers' health, occupational, and liability insurance. So Proposition 22 isn't without its benefits. Along with this, Uber and Lyft drivers would be able to continue to work their own hours and keep their freedom. And the cost for consumers will continue the same. So the solution to the problem is to vote yes on Proposition 22. So get out there and vote.